What up, good people? Back with today's reflection. In today's reflection, I want to talk about how we can sometimes limit or altogether block our blessings because of the parameters we put on God. If you think about it, our whole life is structured on parameters. So, you go to school, you got to get certain grades. That's a parameter. If you start driving a car, you got to drive a certain speed limit. That's a parameter. To do certain things out in the world, you got to be a certain age. That's a parameter. We feel like to live a decent life, you got to have a certain amount of money. That's a parameter. To buy a house, to get money for a business, you got to have a certain credit score. That's a parameter. And so that's how we structure our lives, is on these parameters. But God, we can't put God into parameters because God is God. God been guiding a long time. The same God that we say we believe in, that created the heaven and the earth. The same God that created the giraffe. You ever seen a giraffe in person? Been face to face with a giraffe? God created that. You ever seen a whale? God created that. You ever seen big bodies of water and just look out into big bodies of water? How amazing that is. Like, God created that. You ever been to the Grand Canyon? You ever seen a volcano? God created these things. And so just because our mind is so limited that we can't fathom certain things, that we think that it's certain things that God just can't do. God, I was born at this place. I was born to these parents. I don't know this. I don't know that. I don't have this amount of money. That can't happen for me. Well, then God has to adhere to what you believe. When we look at people that achieve certain things, and we see and we hear about their story, we're like, I can't believe that happened. Well, that's because they didn't have parameters on God. It don't happen for us because we put them parameters on God, and God has to adhere to those parameters that we put on him. Instead of us saying, the same God that created the heavens and earth can do whatever. Whatever my mind can think of, God can make it happen if I believe it. So stop putting parameters on God and let God be God.